Filmatics, welcome to the show. Today we have a very special guest. We have Paul Brenno. Paul is a multiple award-winning cinematographer, and he's smashing it in film festivals right now. He's won so many awards. I can't wait to tell you about them. He's also a director and a filmmaker. Let's welcome Paul Brenno to the show. Paul, welcome.
Thank you so much, Marilyn. It's just a pleasure being here, and I love your show. I'm definitely a filmatic, that's for sure.
Yeah, we have so many filmatics. They're loving the show. They're loving the directors being so gracious with the film shots and film tips and how they made it. So, Paul, can you let everyone know where you're recording with me today from?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I am actually in Tyler, Texas, which is about an hour and a half east of Dallas.
Oh, great, great. So, Paul, growing up as a little kid, did you have a favorite film that you loved?
Actually, I did. It's interesting when people talk about their childhood, it's always about 9 or 10 years old that a movie sticks in their head. And for me, it was Superman the movie with Christopher Reeve.
Oh,
that
wow.
movie put a stamp on me that's still to this day, specifically with all the superhero movies out there.
And why did you like Superman? What part of the Superman was he flying, or just that his powers?
Well, to me, it was a lot more than that, because when I was about, I can't even say 5 or 6, but it was like during my pre-10-year-old phase, I was always attracted to TV and movies. I think every kid loves cartoons. Well, my cartoon love was Super Friends, the Super Friends Hour. And that was the cartoon of Superman, of the Flash, like the Justice League is now. Well, that was what it was back then. And I just loved the red and blue. I love that he could fly. I love that he was Clark Kent, Secret Identity. He reminded me of something that I would have loved to have been, have a secret identity, and then bam, the real hero comes out. And that was such a huge deal for me that I just followed it. I followed all the comic books. I just loved the fact that he was a reporter. He was from Kansas, and I was from North Dakota. That type of thing, a very humble beginning. And it just kind of connected with me. And I kept wanting to go into my bedroom every day and just play. It's just my active imagination. I prayed to God to fly one day.
Oh.
Not in the Air Force, but I really wanted to fly. That's the impact that film had on me.
Oh my God, you prayed that you could fly. That is just so cute and so precious. Yes, because films have such an impact, especially as young children. I mean, I just remember wouldn't it be awesome to have superpower, especially anybody that was mean to you or like a teacher didn't like or somebody didn't like, or you could fly somewhere or have something you could defend yourself from the bad guys. That's amazing.
Yep.
Yeah. And, I literally started writing all these magical stories. And, as you guys know, my podcast, Enchanting Book Readings, I write magical stories all the time. So, but I haven't written any superheroes yet because I think they're doing such a fabulous job that they, but I do have, my Margaret Merlin's journal, she's a wizard and she flies on a magical horse and she's like a superhero wizard. So I guess I did end up. So I think we all end up like loving them so much that we immerse ourselves in making our own superhero. But so did you see that with your brothers, sisters, mom, dad, grandpa?
I remember it so well. Certain things are of course sketchy to me because I remember when the movie came out, I saw the film trailers for it. And the film trailers, I think I was about 9. This is right after Star Wars came out, so the special effects in movies really hit home for me. And I remember Superman, the movie, came to a theater in my hometown that no longer exists. It's one of those old theaters where you go in, the ushers are all in tuxedos, and then you had the red velvet drapes that opened up, and then you were transported to Krypton. And that, to me, I remember it so well because I kept telling my mom and dad, that was about 9 years old. I thought, we need to go Friday night because it's opening night. It's the most important night. And here I was like 9, knowing this. But we ended up going, I think, a week later because it was at Christmas time. And it just stamped me. I was so psyched. I was like glued from start to finish.
Wow, you had tuxedo guys and red carpet. How? Oh, wow, that must have been like dress up and special. See, it's so.
It almost felt like that, yeah.
Yeah, wow, what memories, especially with COVID shutting down theaters completely in their ArcLight Theater on Sunset Boulevard, the round circle. It's so sad. So, well, hopefully people can bat up. So I'm going to ask you now, maybe as you're older, was there favorite Criterion movie that perhaps inspired your film career?
Yeah, it was Dances with Wolves.
Oh.
That is the movie that I saw when I decided to become a cinematographer. I didn't know how to do it. So when I graduated from high school, I joined the Air Force for 4 years. Speaking of flying, I joined the Air Force for 4 years to get the GI Bill, and I was home on leave. I was stationed in Italy for a year and a half, and this is right before the Persian Gulf War hit. And I was home on leave, and it literally was a week before the Persian Gulf War hit. A buddy of mine told me, and I was away from America for about a year in basic, and then I was in tech school. Then they sent me overseas. And everybody kept talking about Dancing with Wolves when I was home, because being that I'm from North Dakota, it was shot in South Dakota, so everybody around us was talking about local people being in it. And I had not seen any previews. I had no idea what this film was, but I went to it with a buddy of mine, and I thought, dude, this is gonna be 3 hours long. And I was telling him this because I was complaining about it. From the opening musical score by John Barry to the end where they're going up the mountain, I was glued, and I thought, this film, and not only was it Kevin Costner's direction, but Dean Semler, the Australian cinematographer who won the Oscar for it, that made me want to be a cinematographer right there, that film.
Oh.
And it left such, I walked away from the theater saying, if I ever have a chance to meet Kevin Costner or Dean Semler, I want to shake their hand and say thank you.
Wow. So you actually went in the Air Force and you're flying airplanes, and you were stationed.
Actually, no.
Oh.
I actually wasn't flying airplanes, actually. I have bad eyesight, and I'm over 6'1", so I wouldn't be able to fit in the plane anyway. So I never got to do that. But the metaphor being in the Air Force and Superman just kind of fit.
Yes. But you were stationed in Italy, right?
Yeah, I was actually stationed in a very small beach resort area called Rimini. And I think the base is closed since then, but anybody listening, if they knew Vicenza or Aviano, that was the Army and Air Force base that I was around when I was over there. And being over there, it sort of was a metaphor for me, because here I was a guy from the Dakotas stationed in a foreign land trying to learn their language, where Kevin Costner and Dancing with Wolves, he was an Army officer being stationed in the Dakotas and not knowing the language. So that metaphor was still there, because I was still trying to learn Italian. And Dunbar character was trying to learn the Lakota Sioux, which is where I'm from. So it kind of hit home for me, because the way they portrayed the Badlands was just gorgeous. And I thought, I love this film.
Oh, that's amazing. And thank you for serving. I really appreciate that. That's beautiful.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, my father was in the Navy, and he actually flew planes, and he was stationed in Italy where he met my mother, and hence I was born. So, we love
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Very
so
good.
we have that. So that inspired your career path. So I'm going to ask you, so I know you're a cinematographer, but do you have a favorite director, one of your favorite directors you'd like to share with us?
I actually don't have a favorite director, because I have so many. Christopher Nolan, I mean, to me, is a genius. Orson Welles with Citizen Kane sort of set the benchmark for deep angle photography with Greg Toland. I love Mel Gibson and what he's done with Passion of the Christ. Just so many, because I don't like specifically one director, but I've loved. It's sort of hard to explain, because it's not their body of work, but it's one film they did that I loved.
Yes.
It's just like one, like Christopher Nolan. He had like Interstellar is one of my favorite films. I just love the story. And there was one, I can't remember, but the writing was so beautiful in this one movie. I can't remember, it just slips my mind, but Dances was so great for me, that Costner and Open Range and all these, like Yellowstone now with Taylor Sheridan, even though it's a TV show, it's shot very cinematically, and that leaves a mark on me. Taylor Sheridan and what he's doing right now, he's got a movie coming out soon, but the writing is beautiful, just beautiful. And I thought, I don't have that skill, but I so admire the people who do.
And can you share with us your favorite director and a couple examples of directing shots, either in a film or TV show, to like just give us like your love of that directing of that clip?
Yeah, I read that in one of the things, and to me it was kind of hard to explain, but it was the buffalo hunt and dances, because there is no way you can direct buffalo. You can't give the buffalo direction. You just can't. So I was just blown away when I saw how Costner and Dean Semler and his crew directed animals to get such beautiful photography. because you cannot direct it. But Christopher Nolan, what he did with Interstellar, basically the entire film, to me, is a work of cinematic art.
Yeah, so because of the yeah, like you said, you can't tell a buffalo to do this and do that. I wonder how many times they shot that. Like how many times do you estimate they
Well, I did a lot of research on that film when I got out because I was so interesting, and I think they said that they shot that buffalo scene in like a week, like 5 days, for like 2 to 3 minutes of film. And I heavily believe that because it was actually shot in Pierre, South Dakota. That's where the buffalo hunt was in Fort Sedgwick. And listening to that and listening to Dean and how they photographed it with, like, I don't know how many cameras they had, but to me, it was such a monumental undertaking that they just did. I thought, wow. And I can see why they won the Oscar for it.
Yeah, and can you share with us another film shot and like your favorite scene in a movie that you loved as a
Oh gosh, I would have to say the one of them that kind of stands out. Actually, it was just on TV the other day. Was Bryan Singer and Bohemian Rhapsody, the story of Queen. That film has been like a favorite of mine for the last year, and Queen wasn't a favorite band of mine, but now they are, because with what Freddie Mercury and Queen did in those shots, those opening shots, and then there are certain scenes that that's what the movie is. And I watched it several different times. One of the films that sort of a departure from Bryan Singer, I was having a conversation with somebody about one shot from a film. If you took that one shot from a film, would you know what the film is? And there was one shot by Michael Bay in Transformers that if I saw it, you'd know what the film is. And it was the cars going through this building, and there was this long shot. It must have been on a 100-millimeter lens, and it just squeezed the backgrounds, and it's cars coming through a building, and you know what that shot is. To me, it was absolutely brilliant. And Michael Bay, I don't think gets the credit for being a great director, but that shot, if I shot still of that shot, I would know the movie.
Yeah.
And it was just one shot. That was it.
Yeah, and like because Michael Bay actually directs the biggest, most expensive blockbuster hits. And yeah, it's like you might call it bubblegum pop, but those are like big budgets, big action, just big explosions. I met him. Right. I did meet him, and he was surrounded by beautiful girls, if we're allowed to say that. But he was very cordial and very polite and professional. And I admire directors. I love directors. If anyone can mentor me, you're on a film, think of me. I will be your right hand girl, because that's my goal, to direct a feature film, like get that feature under my belt.
Oh yeah.
So I'm there for you. So
I would love there. I mean, there are so many that I could mention. They're just escaping me right now. But yeah, I 100% agree with you.
Yeah. So how do you? Okay. So I'm going to ask you. Did you grow up? Where did you grow up? You grew up in out of state, right?
Yes, I actually grew up in a small town. It's about 35,000 people now. It's about 45 in Minot, North Dakota. And Minot is in the central eastern part of the state of North Dakota. North Dakota is like, Canadian border, just north of South Dakota. That's where I grew up. And it was I don't want to say it was like Mayberry from the TV series, The Andy Griffith Show, but it kind of was. Because my growing up was shouldn't say Norman Rockwell, but in a way it kind of was. Both parents, loving parents. They weren't rich, but we had a really wonderful childhood. And this is all before the internet, all before any of the social media stuff we have now. But growing up in my hometown was great. And I got my love for photography. I guess it was early. My mother worked in education her entire career. My father actually worked in sales for both TV and radio. So I would go out to see my dad at the TV station, and I would just be so enthralled with, this was a news station. It wasn't Hollywood by any stretch of the imagination. But as a kid, I went out there, and I was just so in love with the lights, the cameras. I thought, this is my niche. I get it. Because so many of the guys that I went to high school with, they wanted to be like lawyers, or wanted to be farmers, or wanted to be this or that. I wanted to be in media and film. And many people who heard me speak say, well, you've got a good radio type voice. We need to utilize that. And I thought, yeah, I love doing voiceover work. And I did not want to be an actor. I was too self-conscious, didn't think I had the look, but I loved every other aspect. I loved the behind the scenes, and that's kind of how it took off. And when I was a senior in high school, I remember going down to Bismarck, which is our state capital, and they had a few more stores than we had in Minot at the time. This is the mid to late 80s. And I picked up, and I just saw the corner of my head in a drugstore, the American Cinematographer magazine. And I had no idea what it was, but I picked it up, I started reading it, and that did it.
Wow, you just fell in love with art. Now, what was your first camera?
My first camera actually was a Pentax K1000 camera that many students use to learn on. And this is the camera that shoots the 35 millimeter still photography film that Kodak, Agfa, all the other brands made. And I put it up to my head. Where I grew up was in the valley of my hometown, and there's like South Hill and North Hill. I went up on North Hill, and it was like a big cliff overlooking the city. And the sun was setting, and I wanted to just get a shot just to see what the film would do, because I was curious, because nobody was teaching me photography. I was doing this all on my own. And I put the camera up to my eye. I looked through it, and that was it. I thought, I love this, but I want my camera to move. I want motion pictures, not still photography, but let me just learn what I can right now. And, prophetically, now we're shooting on the DSLRs. And I was thinking about it 30, 40 years ago.
Wow. And so you're in your hometown. Did you go to college? Where'd you go to college? How'd you get to LA?
Yeah, I actually never went to LA or New York. I had dreams of it when I was actually reading American Cinematographer. What was so great was all of the cinematographers that I read about were in the ASC. And many people in Hollywood know the ASC is the American Society of Cinematographers. They're the best of the best in Hollywood. They have a British, Australian society. All these societies now have best of the best. I began reading saying, I want to be a part of this, because not only do I get it, but I began taking still photographs in my hometown and entering them into film, or entering them into contests and winning contests for photography. It just became a niche of mine. And in my senior year, I thought, I really want to go to Hollywood. My goal was to go out there, work as an assistant cameraman, maybe become an operator, and then eventually become a director of photography. That was the dream. But unfortunately, that didn't happen. And the reason why it didn't happen is because I didn't know anything about unions, about you had to know certain people. It's a really big, clique out there. So like high school, you have to know somebody. It's all who you know. I didn't know anybody. All these famous people that I met, I didn't want to brown nose them or say, I want to be your friend because I need a job. I didn't want to do that. That just didn't seem me. But after I graduated high school, I thought, how do I get money for college? Well, the GI Bill happened with the Air Force. And after I was in the Air Force, I met, I was overseas in Italy first, came back, saw the film Dances. I was then stationed in San Antonio, and I was an instructor there. And when I was down there, I just happened to be watching TV, and there were 3 guys being interviewed, and they were making a movie in San Antonio. One of the guys was a guy named Ken Lampkin, and Ken Lampkin was a member of the ASC. And I made contact with him saying, I really would love to talk with you about cinematography, because I just kind of want to know what I should do. And he said, well, do this, do that. I got to meet him, got to be on the set with him for a couple of days. And he eventually went to Hollywood and photographed the Frasier sitcom. And he was a multiple award-winning, Emmy-winning cinematographer. And I thought, I want to go to Hollywood, but how? I don't know anybody. So even with the GI Bill, I still couldn't afford USC or UCLA, but I was accepted to film school out in California. But I actually went to Montana State University in Bozeman, where the TV show Yellowstone is now being done.
Amazing.
And I thought, I love this because I still can't afford the school. Literally, I couldn't afford it, but I thought it's close to home. I've got relatives in the Helena area. And for 2.5 years, I went to film school in Bozeman. And during my senior year, a bunch of films were being shot in that area because I think the tax incentives in Montana were great at the time. And the one man that I met was Dean Semler, the Oscar winner from Dance with the Wolves. He just happened to be there filming a movie.
Oh,
and
incredible.
I thought, I need to shake your hand, sir, and just say thank you for your inspiration. And he invited me on the set with him. He was directing, and his cinematographer was shooting for him. And I got to go on the set on a Friday night and spend about an hour watching him. And he says, well, see you tomorrow, Paul. I thought, absolutely you will. And I had class that day, so I skipped class. I said, I'm going to spend the next day watching Dean work. And I spent 13 to 14 hours watching him work.
Oh, wow. So your favorite film, it manifested, and you're watching the director direct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was kind of wild too, because both Ken and Dean were from completely different backgrounds. but they were such gentlemen. They didn't say, you need to go through the proper channels. I don't want to deal with this. I'm working. It was, come on, please. We'll put you to work. Are you learning anything? It was they were very gracious gentlemen. They didn't have an ego about them. And I thought, this is what I want to be like.
I love that. When you hear positive stories, professional, gracious, and extending their hand and helping others get up the ladder, because we need cinematographers, directors, writer, producers, whoever you are. Like, like if you're good, you're good. And like nice people should be like nice people. So can you tell us about all these awards you're winning, some of your fabulous ones? Please share with us. You've won so many, like over 30 so far, right?
Actually, I think it's over 80 now, I think.
80.
And I lost count. And it's like, it's weird because I love talking about it, but I don't, because I don't want people to think you're some kind of egomaniac, because, so many people can get caught up in that. Well, the first, I'll tell you about the first award. It was, I had gone through a ton of like bad experiences with jobs, bad environments, bad producers, loving the crews and loving the work that I was doing. But it was 2015. I was in Dallas, ironically, worked at a TV station. This was post-recession. So post-recession of 2009, nothing has been the same. But I got a job in Dallas. It was a terrible experience. Learned a ton, though, about what to do, what not to do. I came back home after I got laid off. The company was replaced all of us crew for robotic cameras that you see on TV. Went back home and I thought, you know what? I'm inspired to make some films for people, not videos, but films. And I was doing a charity video, and one of the participants came up to me and she said, I would like to talk to you about doing a video for my dance group. And I thought, oh, sure, I'd love to, because a lot of times people approach you while you're doing a shoot about another shoot. So I thought, yeah, happy to. And she says, well, I kind of want to do like a news, like one of those business beats that TV stations use about highlighting a business. And I thought, well, let's talk about that. I don't want to do that because I want to do a cinematic documentary about your group. And we did. We shot for about like a month because we both had day jobs. We finished in about 2 months. And then that fall, October, I sent my film it was called Magic Tap Cloggers, about 4 women who did Irish clogging in this small town, and they would go to venues and so forth. I just photographed their story. And I was at a film festival that I was a judge at here in North Dakota. And I saw this filmfreeway.com. I thought, I'm going to check it out because I don't think this is Sundance worthy or maybe Telluride worthy yet, because these are big budget films and I'm not. This film cost about $2,500. It's like 10 minutes long. But my first Best Cinematography Award came from Chandler International Film Festival in Phoenix, Arizona. And I was thrilled. I thought, this is something that I didn't expect. I was just so proud of the work, but I never thought it was award worthy. And when I won my first award, I wrote again to Dean Semler. Ken Lampkin had passed away, and Dean had just won a Lifetime Achievement Award a couple years earlier. So I wanted to write Dean again and say, Dean, I just want to say thank you for your inspiration, because I won my first Best Cinematography Award. And I forgot all about it. And 2 weeks later, Dean called me directly, and we talked for about an hour about film.
Oh my gosh, that's so beautiful. Oh, thank you.
It was the phone call of my life.
Wow. You're so special and you're so wonderful. I want everyone to know that you also are working for a director of video production for Stitchin' Heaven, and it's Texas' largest quilt company located in a small town of Quitman, Texas, which is east of Dallas.
Right.
And you're head of video production, and you shoot commercials, promos, and how-to videos, tutorials, and you're prepping to do a new documentary film about their story. Oh my gosh, Stitchin' Heaven. I love it. My friend here his mom has a yarn shop, a little yarn shop in the valley.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah. And maybe I have to put you guys together, because he's an editor, filmmaker, director. And you're also in talks with, can you share your talks with Hollywood actor producer Jeff East for a big project for 2020, a period Western? And you also have a close friend, Leslie, in Texas with a film project, an Australian project, another in Canada. And you have all these stuff going, and a current documentary for Stitchin' Heaven. And I want everyone to know that your website is Paul Brenno, that's BRENNO.wixsite.com at PB Films and Media. So I just want to get all that in. And if you can just share with us. Yeah, can you share with us a little bit about those?
Yeah, I was going to mention too that after Magic Tap Cloggers came out, just real brief, I did a bunch of work from, say, 2016 all the way up to now. It was slow in 2018 when COVID happened, everything stopped, but I kept winning awards for commercials. I did my first documentary feature in 2019 that won Best Director, honorable mention from the New York Film Awards, LA Film Awards, Best Cinematography nomination. So all these things just, it could add to your ego, but to me, I want to do more and more and more. With this Stitch in Heaven, that came in January because I was hoping to head to Arizona because that's where my family is. Well, I couldn't find work there at all. It was terrible. I think now it'd probably be better. Maybe it was the time of year that I went. But when this phone call happened from Stitch in Heaven, I thought, please, what do y'all do? I read the description. They said, we love your work. We want your expertise. And I thought, I would love to come in. I kind of did some research on what they did. They look like they did like tutorials, promos, how-to type videos. These are the videos that I hadn't done yet. And if you haven't done something, that means you should do it because it's going to be a learning experience for you and you can bring your skill to them, which I did. And right now, one of our commercials has been nominated for its 8th award.
Oh,
so I thought, this is just wonderful for them. I just love it.
And can you share, you won the director award for which documentary? What was the name of it?
Yeah, it was Best Director Honorable Mention New York Film Awards for Noble Inc. 10 years. It was an oil company in Western North Dakota, 2019, that were celebrating their first 10 years in business. And this was in Williston, and I was in Minot. It's about a 2-hour drive. And they wanted somebody to come in and make a movie or a video about their story. And I thought, absolutely, I would love to. So I had the time. I had just finished some other work, and I thought, I need to find something. And when this work happened, it was about an eight-month job. And it was just me and a buddy of mine, Dennis, who did some drone work for me. And it was just, I was totally exhausted mentally and physically and spiritually, everything, after I was finished with this film, because it took everything out of me, everything that I could, offer at the time. And when I won these prestigious awards, it was like, holy cow, I still don't believe it. And I thought, this is great. So that just kept going and going till now. And with this documentary coming up, I want to tell Deb and Clay are the co-owners. It's a mother and son business. And it's for people who love quilting. There was a movie out, How to Make an American Quilt, with Winona Ryder years ago. And you don't think about these things until you're actually in it. And I thought, how do I tell this story in a great way about quilting? It just seems like a niche market that only, say, retired women want to do. Or how do I make a film that appeals to, say, me or like a 25-year-old man? That type of thing. So we're in prep right now, and I'm hoping to get some shooting done, starting to shoot this next couple of weeks, because I'm going to Vegas this weekend to shoot footage of a conference that I can use in the movie.
Well, can you really quickly talk about the Western, and then where everyone can keep up with you? Because I know people are going to be calling you and emailing you for work because you are fantastic. Not only a cinematographer, but a director. PaulBrenno.wixsite.com. It'll be in the summary. Please, you're going to be talking with actor-producer Jeff East about this big Western. We love Westerns. Can you
I'm actually talking about him right now. I don't know what's going to happen because so many things. He sent me the first draft of this. I can't say too much because I promised him that I wouldn't give away everything, but it was last year. Jeff East, by the way, played the young Clark Kent in Superman the movie.
Amazing.
So I thought, this is just insane, because he played young Clark Kent in Smallville with Glenn Ford, and I was driving down the road and got an email because I was posting some of my awards on Facebook, and it was him. I thought it was a fan page, but he says, I like your work, and I thought, holy cow, this is amazing. And we've been talking. He sent me the script. It's amazing. It's going to be changing because scripts do, but he said it was a big project for this year, but because of COVID, it's going to be for next year, and they're looking at directors and all this stuff. And I thought, I'm a one-man band. I'm assuming they're probably going to want somebody who's a union, who's done features, that type of thing. But just the thought of him thinking of me, to me, it's just as if I was doing it.
Paul, where can everyone reach out and find you and hire you? Because I know they're going to. You've got like 30 seconds. Let us know.
I'm sorry, say that again.
Where can everyone check out with you on social media? Where can they tell us your website?
Sure, it's paulbrenno.wixsite.com, PB Films and Media, and they can email me if they want at paulbrenno@gmail.com. Simple as that.
Okay, great. Paul, thanks for being on the show. You're amazing. You have a bright,
Oh,
bright
my pleasure.
future.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, everyone, for listening. Till next week, stay healthy.
Thank you so much.